Hello everyone, welcome to Serious Code Lab. I am so sorry about the late upload. I have not uploaded anything since last two week. So I've been kind of busy. I am so sorry. I apologize for you guys that have been following these specific programs. I am so sorry. So in today's lecture, we'll be talking about postfix and prefix. Postfix and prefix. So let's try to understand what postfix and prefix means, and we try to understand that. So next thing, let's try to understand the subtitle. This specific lecture will help you in efficient manipulation and expression handling. So if you don't know what postfix and prefix is, you will this is a very good opportunity for you to learn or to give attention to, so you can actually learn it. I guess this stuff is very tiny and I'm very sorry about that. I want to just make sure everything contains this, but I'm going to zoom it for you so you can see it. So what you will gain in this specific lecture here is very much, and I want you guys to pay more attention to that, to the details. So understanding increments and decrements. We know what on a new real-time word. We know what increments and decrement means. When something increase and when something decrease. So that is what postfix and prefix is all about. When and value is decreased or being increased. So we will bring more of it into your understanding. So now we were recognizing the purpose of plus and minus operators for quick variable updates. So I guess you guys which are not really familiarized with postfix and prefix might find that very difficult to get or to wrap it up in your brain. So recognizing the purpose of plus and minus operators for quick variable updates is a way it can make sure it's help you to update your variable in a very quick way without not adding or do some kind of logic together. But don't worry, you will understand more of that. Let's just go to the next one. Distinguish prefix and postfix. We will try to understand the difference between prefix and postfix. So don't really get this thing too wrong. There's difference between postfix and there's difference between postfix. There's difference between prefix and postfix, and how they implement on plus and minus. Don't worry about that. We bring that to your understanding is. So what are you going to gain there? Knowing when and how the variable of the how the value of the variable is modified. I'm sorry about that. Knowing when and how the variable the value of the variable is modified in an expression. So this will give you an idea of how the variables, you know what variable is, how the variable is being modified. The value of the variable is being modified. It will give you the knowledge, idea, the clarity of it. So gaining clarity of evaluations operator before or after usage. So it will give you a very clarity of how your value or how your variable is being modified or manipulated according to prefix and postfix. So that is what you're going to gain. That's distinguish between prefix and verse postfix. So the third one is improving expression efficiencies. So improving expression efficiency. Learning how to use those operators to optimize loop and attrition. I know some guys I'm not really into loop and most of you guys kind of get into loop. You know what loop is and you know what attrition is. Like when something goes or move or continuously until it meets a certain task or it meets a specific command. Sometimes loop can be infinite. Sometimes it can have a stopping point. So just know that is what what loop is. So it helps in optimizing loop. Don't worry, we will really get to how loops work, but let's try to understand it helps with optimizing loops and attritions. So recognizing their impact on performance, especially in a tight loop or algorithms. So we try to understand the performance of prefix and postfix in algorithms or loops like that. So those are the things you're going to get. So now the first one is preventing common pitfall. This is very common stuff. Very common stuff. that actually common affect some, some programmers, some developers. So most people, sometimes falls in this specific pitfall if they are not used with postfix and prefix, or they don't really understand the idea between postfix and prefix. So now this one here, this specific fourth section is telling us that how to avoid logical errors due to misunderstanding when variables are updated in a complex expression. So example, maybe you have a lot of just randoms of code on your streams, and somehow you miss your way, and the only way you can actually get to get over that specific logic, to get it clearly, is by using postfix or prefix. But sometimes or somehow you use some kind of operation that makes it more complex, and everything gets miscalculated, and everything gets miscalculated. But yeah, the postfix and prefix give you the idea, the knowledge for you to get a clarity, so you can avoid errors due to misunderstanding the variable. So it gives you very clarity of how to modify the value in a variable. So that's one of the reasons why it's been mentioned. So practical applications. So applying prefix and postfix in a real problems like iterating through arrays and containers, it helps. Implementing counters and tracking mechanism in algorithm. So it helps in a lot like that. I know this one might a little bit be complicated for you to wrap it up, but if you guys have get to randomly as fall in this particular part, you should try and understand what I mean. So now the sixth one said code readability and maintenance. I'm sorry for taking too long on this, but it's very important for you to know. I addressed this in order to fall into what we are actually talking about. So code readability and maintenance, very 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 important. If your code is not readability or maintained well, you get confused. Even the reviewer get confused. So by using postfix and prefix helps you a lot to get over this complicated issue that makes code look so complex to read. But when you have these ideas of using postfix and prefix, you know how to optimize yourself or get used and how to write a very clean and very maintained or readability code. So now the seventh one, which is the last one here, you said deepen C++ expertise. So by having these ideas of postfix and prefix, you will know how you have this idea of getting deeper in C++ programming language. It tells you a lot in a very very much way. Having this understanding of postfix and prefix, it helps a lot. Though it is it's one of the basic part of C++, which is very important, in fact. So by knowing this postfix and prefix, understanding it very well, or having a very good idea of it, it helps gaining deeper understanding how the expression and evaluation works in C++. So now the last statement here, which is building foundational knowledge that strengthens grasp over a more complex language features. So it gives you very very foundational knowledge over some other programming language. Also, if having this idea of postfix and prefix. So I think that's all I want to bring for you guys. So this is actually everything you're going to gain in this particular lecture, and I want you guys to pay more attention and be well details in this topic. And I would like you guys to try and support with just like button, at least just try and support anyway. Just please try and support, and just hit the like button or do some comments if you have any problem, if you have any question and asking stuff like that. So let's go into let's go into the real world lectures. So now let's just try and bring something to us. Sorry. So now, very good, I have a very code I make up on the screen here, which is very simple for us to understand. We know what integer means. Integer is a data type in C++, and this is a container which represents variable. So we store the value of 5 in this variable. So these containers carry the value of 5. So in this particular section here we had increments by 1. So the only way we can do increment by using just being assignment operator, operation. So we actually assign 1 to it. So 1 plus container, we added 1 plus this container and we store it inside the container. So the value that is going to give us here is going to be 6. Actually the value that's going to be here is going to be 6. So here we reset the container to 5. How do we do that? We just we call the container here and we assign the value of 5 to it, and we reset the value from 6 to 5. So what is being stored there has been updated to 5. So that's what we do here. So after this update of giving the value of 5 to this variable, we actually do what we call decrement here. So we decrement it by we decrement it by 1. So we store it inside this specific variable here, and the value that is stored here is 4, because 1 here minus 5 here, which is the 5 that is stored here, is 4. So it is stored here, and here we print it out, and we have 4 here and we have 6 here. So I want you guys to understand, just this is a very, very simple program, or simple code you guys should understand. And another way to do something like this, and in a very, very logical and a very advanced way, is when the introduction of postfix and prefix is being introduced. So what we actually did here is we actually did decrement, and we actually do what we call increment and decrement, but we didn't use postfix and prefix idea. So this is one thing we should understand, that there is decrement, increment, and decrement, which is one thing that reflects to our today's topic, which is increment and decrement. So now in this specific slide here, I have postfix, increment, and decrement. So I make up a postfix and for increment and decrement. So postfix actually is, I've been holding this particular knowledge of increment and decrement. This also have the idea of increment and decrement, so you understand what I mean. So we are talking about postfix now. Now we are talking about postfix. So in this particular topic, in this particular slide here, we are actually explaining or giving ideas of what postfix means. So here we have containers. It has a value of 5 stored here. So that should not be very obvious to us, or that should not be very complicated for us to understand. So next one, we have a comment, and very good, that's very clean. And here we have the containers is incrementing in this particular form. Then the only way we can increment it is by adding what this specific plus. If you can see this better, so we added plus to it, and automatically the compiler increments this specific variable for you by 1. It increments for you by 1, and the only way you can increment is by adding 2 plus signs to it, and increment by 1. So the value stored here will be incremented by 1, and this is what we call postfix. So when a variable is being incremented by 1 in postfix, it's we are acted immediately after you use it. Yeah. So whenever you print so it's incremented. Now when we use something like this, when we use postfix like this particular value that will be here will not be 6. It doesn't turn 6 immediately. It is when we reuse it again. It is when we use it again that it is automatically turned to 6. But in this particular lecture, we are telling that we are incrementing these specific containers by 1, and that is the excess of postfix. So postfix actually give us the idea, give us the knowledge, or give us the areas to increase our value, not effective immediately. It is after we increment it, just tell us that, oh, container, we are actually increasing this container by 1, but I'm just telling the compiler that we will be increasing this container by 1, not immediately. But when I reuse it now, it is automatically increased by 1, because I have tells a kind of logic to the memories of the compiler that I will be increasing the containers by 1, and after it gets to this particular section here, it is incremented by 1. So that is what is being done here. And now we are actually working after the decrementing. So decrementing of postfix, so we reset the value to 5 immediately in order to have the value of 5, because if we print this, it's going to be 6, and if we should use 6 here, it will look complicated and for us to understand. So in order to get this in a clarity way, so we have to make 5, we have to give the value of 5, to reset the container to 5, which is being what is used there. So now we actually do, we print out and we do something we call decrement. So decrement is same thing as increment here, which actually which decrease by 1, but not immediately. Try and understand that the difference between postfix is that it doesn't increment, it doesn't increment or decrement immediately. It's just like you are telling the compiler that, oh compiler, I will be incrementing this in the next operation whenever it is used again. So the next operation I use is that I use it again and it will be incremented here. But in this specific area here, this specific section here, it is not incremented. It is just 5 that is stored there. So what we are actually doing here is that we are telling the compiler that in the next section, in the next usage of containers, it will be incremented by 1. But here it's decremented. It will be decremented by 1. So that is what, that is all the ideas about this postfix that I want you guys to understand. So in the next slide there we have prefix. Prefix is interesting also, same as postfix. So prefix here, prefix increment and decrement. Also here we actually have the value of 5 assigned to it, though we don't need that except if we have reset it here. Did we reset that? Okay, it's not resetted. It's not reset, sorry, it is not reset. So here it has been reset to 5. Very good. And we did something by incrementing by, so try to understand what's this. When we do postfix increment, we actually put it at this specific direction, and when we do prefix increment, we put at this direction. So that's the difference. So the difference is that here it's like you are telling the compiler I will be incrementing it by 1, not immediately. So when you get to this particular location here, it was incremented, but it was not incremented here. But when we get to prefix here, it increments immediately, like immediately you used it. So you give it the value of 5 and increment it by 1, and it's been printed here. The value that will be here is 6 because we incremented it by 1. And let's go to this one. It was resetted, it is reset in this particular side to 5. So we will understand that more in this specific section here. So we reset the value of that is being stored here, which is 6. We increment it, or we added just 5 to it. That is, we reset the value of the container to 5, which is very good. And by doing that, we do something what we call prefix. So prefix actually increments it immediately. Not like you are telling the compiler, it increments it immediately you used it. By using this thing now, it increments it directly for me because I actually reset it and I do increments by using prefix. So prefix actually increments it immediately, but postfix we increment it after it's being used. So that's the difference. It is after it is being used, it is incremented, then it is incremented here, not incremented here. But here it is incremented immediately it is being used. So that's the difference between postfix and prefix. So here we actually print end line, the new line, just to separate those things. And here we reset the value to 5 again, and we did something what we call decrement. So we decrement it and it is immediately here decremented by 1. And when we get to this particular section here, we set the value to 5 and we give it container, and here we do the container is prefix in place. Okay, the container is prefix in place. So now here it is decremented immediately. Whenever you use prefix, it's in decrement or increment, immediately you use it by adding this specific prefix at this direction. This direction is telling us that increment it immediately, and this prefix telling us decrement it immediately, I used it. But when I get to the particular section, it said increment it after it is being used, and after it's being used, it is used. So that's different. I guess you get to understand more of that. So now let's try and work on that. So let's try and go to Visual Studio and let's work on that. Sorry guys. Okay, so so now we'll create some file. Let me create a file for that prefix and postfix. I haven't really created anything for that, I'm sorry. 0017 16. So postfix and prefix. So now, okay, it should be plus plus in there, be plus plus and minus minus there, because decrement and increment. So yeah, we're gonna go to template and copy our template file. Okay, good. And so good. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, so I'll clear up this template in order to have our code written. So I'm gonna clear this template off. What I'm gonna do is that no. On our last lecture, one thing happens is that the specific Visual Studio doesn't work, so I have to use the browser to fix things out. The Visual Studio was telling me to update it, so I was like ignoring, and I know something was wrong then. I ignored it and my Visual Studio does not work. So after the updating, it works fine for me, and that was the problem that comes up in the other day. So I copied the file in order to make it very fast recognition. I mean the fast codes. I mean just to make this very fast. Okay, what's this? Okay, so this error. I was like, should I even type this myself? Because okay, so now we're trying to understand some simple code from this. I don't know if we should. Okay, so I hope you guys understand what is happening here. This is just a data type of integer, and we assign the value of 5 to this, and this container is automatically 5. Then we print it by using stdc out to print the specific string, and we print this specific out by directing our value in this section. I mean in this way, by which is in this format of angle brackets. So the value that is stored here is 5, and sorry, something is kind of wrong. Okay, something is wrong. Okay, yeah, something is wrong. It was incremented. I didn't really know. I noticed the incremented was not even there. So yep, it should be like this. It should be like this. Okay, good. So I'm kind of confused what's going on. So yeah, it was incremented by adding 1 to this container, and by storing the value here we have here in this container it is 6. So we have the value of 6 stored here, and here we have the value of 5. I mean, we set the value to 5, and by having 5 here, the container that is here is, I mean, the value that is here is still 5, and the value, so we decrease it by 5, and we had the value here is 4, so we print it out. So you can just use Ctrl Shift and B, so it will pop up your compliers down for you. And let's just use GCC 14, and while that is running, so we will use a lot of time today, we'll go back to this specific tool, and I can just copy this particular one I have here. So in order to have my stuff, okay, so I can just adjust this part here. Same thing here. I am still not getting. I'm going to find out the specific font that is used for this specific. I'll look up to the font. Sorry about that. So 0 still bringing rate, but I don't think there's error. Yep, so there's no error actually. So now let's just wait for our compiler to comply the first code we have that generate our binary file. But in order to make this thing very snappy, I will go again and copy what we have here. So that's for prefix actually, so I paste that there too. So let me close this side here. I'm gonna adjust this side here, adjust this. So I think this is good, kind of good. So let me separate that with a line, stuff like this. So good. This is for the increment for prefix. And first of all, let's try and understand what we have in our binary first. We know what we expect, I guess. Most of you guys know what we expect from our binary file. Please be fast. I actually typed the name of the binary file. In fact, I typed incorrect file. So AXEO, not necessary though. Can just put code name. So now I have the value of 6 and 4, which I explained earlier for you guys. So I mean, don't really get this thing complicated, though. I can bring this terminal here from the right to the left or to the right. So let me just try and bring it to the left or right. So panel position, you can just adjust to the left or right. So let's use left. Left is not really convenient, so let's try and use sorry about that. So let's try and use right. So right should be convenient for us. I expect it to be on the right side. Okay, so now let me close this side here and let me adjust this a little bit. Okay, good. Here I have the container of 6. So let me go back to my code here. I have the container of 6, 5, and I added 1 to it, so it's automatically 6, and it is being printed out here. So that is very simple thing you should understand. And it was, it is reset to 5, and there was decrement of 1, and it was stored in this here, and it was printed out. It was stored here in this container, and it was printed out in this particular position here, and it's giving us 4. So that is what we printed actually before we introduce all this specific code. So let's try to understand this more. You can just use this line straight. STD to separate in order to get the specific location of our code from our terminal. So go for that, and here it was reset to 5. Though if you continue using the container now, if you continue using container, it will be 4. So 4 that will be here. So now it was resetted just the way we reset, just the way we reset this specific one here. So it is now reset to 5 here, and the value we have here is postfix. So postfix happens before it's used. I mean, before the value used. Oh, sorry, let me just do this to understand it. This is a container here. It is container. It contains the value of 5, and we have and we have this increment value here of plus loss. So this increment value of plus loss is incremented. I mean, it's added 1 to us. I mean, added 1 to our variable, which is 5 here. It's making 6, but it does not show, or it's not come up effectively here. It comes up in this particular location here. What happens here is that what this postfix is telling is that it's telling the compiler that, guy, I am not incrementing. I am not incrementing now. I will increment whenever I use this container again, not immediately. So now we incremented. I mean, we incremented by 1, and it is incremented here for us. So here it is printed out and it is being gapped. So let's copy this top here and we use it again. So we can just bring it out here. So here we do no not now. So this for the increments and this for the decrements. So decrement here, it is reset to 5 from 6 to 5. So now after that we did something here. We did decrement, postfix decrement. It does not decrement immediately, not in this particular position. In this particular, this is where it is decremented. So that's the difference between postfix and prefix. So yes, there is a, I mean, very good, there's a gap here. So now we have the condition of prefix. Now we are out of postfix. Now we are in prefix. Prefix condition is different from postfix. Reason is that it happens in the left side of prefix. So I mean, prefix happen at the left side and postfix happens at the right side of the variable. So this is the right and this is the left. So try to understand that. So prefix actually increment immediately after you use it. So here it is 5. It is incremented immediately after you use it. So it is incremented immediately here. So the value that will be stored here is 4/6. So here it is reset as well. I mean, it is, where is itself? Okay, it is reset. It is reset in this particular position here. It is reset to 5, and when we do it, so we increment it by 1. But here is prefix. Prefix happens effectively immediately after you use it. It does not give the compilers talks or complaints that we will use it next in the next sections or in the next operation next in the next operation, but it give its direct value 6. So here we separate it by using STDC end line. So by printing end line, I mean the new line, I mean. So here it is reset, the value it is reset, and we decrement it by 1 also here, and the prefix value is being effectively shown here. So the same thing happened in this particular section here. So that happens here, and I hope you guys understand. So let's just print these things out. So let's see what everything is all about. And sorry for talking very long. I'm just trying to explain for you guys. So now let's try to understand what happens to prefix. What is all about? I mean, what is this all about? Yes, okay. There's no error though, but you didn't specify the postfix in the printing out here. In the I didn't specify it here. Postfix I specify for prefix. Sorry about that. So let's just try and see what this thing is going to bring us. Okay, good. So let's try and clear the screen. And oh, let me teach you one thing. There's a specific code that clears both the terminal. I mean, we clear the terminal. So if we should run it again, now I'm trying to readjust it. So we just use system. So we are actually communicating directly to the terminal by using this system. So by using these systems, CLS clears up the screen for us. It clears whatever we have here. So here we are actually talking directly. I mean, we are actually manipulating directly to the terminal. So by having this specific code here. So systems and this assignment. I mean, parentheses of parentheses initialization. Sorry about that. And we have this specific lines of codes. I mean, just 3 words here, which is CLS. So it clears the screen for us. So you can just use that in order to see or ignore this stuff we have here. So now I can run the code again. You see what I'm talking about. So let's just try and run it again. After running it again, you won't see anything like that up there. After we used our code. So, but make sure you use it. Anything must not be any code that is written, I mean, at the tops of, because your code start reading from the top of the programs here. Whenever you run your code, your compiler start reading it from the top of this part there, and it goes to main function and it reads what is here first. That is what it does. So make sure you don't have any code up here, or else it clears everything. So make sure you don't have it up here. So I remember that I usually use this clear CLS at the screen to clear the screen. So you can actually use same thing here in the code. It should affect them. So let me just click enter, and if I should run my code, which is my binary code, you will notice that the screen is cleared for me, and say code. So now you see everything is cleared. Say it is cleared, nothing is there. So now just to understand something now. So the container for 6, which is the one we actually did the first times, and here is for the incrementing and decrementing of postfix, which I didn't really specify. This is it. Sorry. Yep. Yeah, from this side here. So this is it here. The container is incrementing by 5. So it is incremented by 5 here. So like I tell you guys that it doesn't increment immediately. It is after it is being used. That is when it is being incremented. So it is incremented by, now it is now 6. So that is how postfix works. It does not comes up immediately. It is after it's been used. That is when the value it is incremented. So now we have 6 here, which is been here. So yeah, it is reset to 5 here. So after we have decrement, and we print it out. After we print it out, we decrement it, and it does not show immediately. See, it is 5 here also, and it is reflected also here, like 4, which is here. So you guys should understand that. I have a very simple clarity about that. And here we divide our screen with this line, which is the one we have here. So now let's look at what is there. So it is resetted. The value that is in the container is reset from 4 to 6. So it is reset to 6, and sorry, from 4 to 5. So it is reset from 4 to 5. So now we have increment, and we have the value of container. So if you look at this up here, we have 6 here. So it's reaction shows immediately after you used it. So that's for prefix for you. So prefix shows immediately. So I don't have to increment anything again. So it shows immediately, because I didn't really print it out here. That's why it's not showing for me. If it's that I print it out here, it will shows. So here we reset it. We reset the value to 5, and we print it immediately out now. So we see that the difference is that it shows up immediately for us. So the containers prefix in place is 6. So when we have it there, when we sit here, so which is this one we have here, so it's incremented immediately. So that's the difference between prefix and postfix. It's increment immediately after you use it, but this one is before you use it here. Sorry about that. Prefix here is incremented after you used it. I mean, immediately you used it, or before you use it. Let me just bring to the clear. Before you it is printed, it is being incremented. Before this value is being assigned, it is being concluded, it is incremented by 1. So here we have, and it is printed out, which is this one, and we separated it with this one here, which is the end line we see here. So we have the next one here, which is container of 5, and 5, it is decremented by 1. So before the value is being assigned to container, it is being decremented, which is 4. So we have it here, 4 stored here. So now, to make a very clarity of it, now we actually do it directly from the initialization part, and we did it directly. So we set the value to 5, and we decrement it by 1 here. So immediately reflected, which is 4 here. So you see the difference. You see the difference between prefix and postfix. And by these ways, you can avoid something like this. You can avoid something like this. You can have here, which is container plus 5. I mean plus 1 minus 1 that you have here. So that is all about that is all about prefix and postfix that you guys should understand. Increment and decrement. And to bring this into your clarity of it, to bring into your more understanding of you guys, that or most of you may be wondering that, oh, what if we want to increment it by 5, or how should we do it by 5? I mean, sorry, what if you want to increment it, I mean, want to do some multiplication part, or like we are adding stuff like that. So let me just bring this clarity. So note, prefix and postfix increment operator are cool though, but they are incremented by 1 only. So that is the excess of increment and decrement. It is only incremented by 1. You can't actually do it more than 1. That's the veil of effective and usefulness of prefix and postfix. So what if you need to increment it by, and what if you need to increment it by a value or that is more than 1? Maybe we say 5 or 6. What if you want to increment it in a 6 or 5? We will see that. I mean, we see that in the next lecture actually. So just try and relax. We see how to do that. You know, how to increment it by 5 at a time or 6 at a time. So there is no multiply, which is this asterisk sign. I hope you can see. I'm sorry, I'm not sure you can see. So there won't be this specific asterisk sign which we use it to increment it. No, that's not possible. We only have plus, and we only have, sorry, I mean plus, sorry, there is, we only have plus and minus. That's only what we have here. We don't have multiply. I mean, we don't have asterisk, which is multiplication. So, and division here, that is typically error. It's not possible you do stuff like that. I mean, with your increments, by using it for increments, like such a way that increments it by 1 or stuff like that. So it's not possible. They don't bring sense, or they don't bring sense. Postfix and prefix only is used for plus and minus, because that is where they bring sense, I mean. So I hope you guys understand what this lecture is all about. We actually talked about prefix and postfix. So we talked about that postfix actually is incremented after it's been used. After it's been used, it is incremented. So but prefix is actually incremented before being used. Okay, let me just bring to understand just a little example I want to bring. I hope you guys understand. So you have seen it already. So postfix, let's say this is postfix. I'm sorry about that. This is postfix and I have prefix here. So this is prefix. So this is prefix here, which is the value. Let's say this is the prefix. This is what prefix is all about. So postfix here, it is incremented after it's been used. Whenever you use your prefix, now you increment it by 1. So I increment this prefix here. I increment this here. Sorry. So here it happens like after I use this one here, that is when it is incremented. It does not increment it immediately. It is after I use this, that is when it is incremented. But yeah, it's incremented before it's been used. I mean, before the value is being assigned to it, it has effectively used it. But here it is increments after it has been used, finished. So it's now, it assigns the value to it by 1, and here by 1 also, but it is before it's been used. So I hope you guys understand what that means. So thank you very much. That's the end of this lectures, and sorry about taking most of your time, and sorry about that. So bye, have a nice day. So we'll bring the next lecture to you guys. So thank you very much.